Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
The Boy Scouts of America are on the verge of considering a very important policy. A change in the wrong direction could ultimately undermine this great organization. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, and joining me is Matt Barber, vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. The Scouts are meeting next week during their annual convention to consider changing the policy on homosexuality in the Scouts, or so-called sexual orientation. Matt, if the Scouts go the wrong way, and the policy proposal is to say for Scout leaders, you can't be homosexual, but for Scouts, you can be. They're not going to have any policy regarding that. You can be homosexual, sleep in the same tent with someone else, be sexually attracted to other young boys. They're going to allow that. Now, that's the proposal. We don't know what they're going to do next week, but it's an important change. And if they go the wrong way and they change from their previous position, they're going to go the way of the Scouts did in Canada.
Well, rather than doing the right thing here, the Scouts are proposing just making everybody mad because the homosexual activists aren't going to be happy with that, and they're right. It's logically incoherent. It's incongruous. It doesn't even make sense. But the reality of the matter is that it will devastate the Boy Scouts. There's no question about it. It will devastate the Boy Scouts. We've seen in Canada, Matt, where there were about 500,000 of their version of the Boy Scouts in Canada. After they homosexualized the Scouts there in Canada, their numbers dwindled down to about 70,000 or so. So it will destroy them. It's a foregone conclusion. So we can just put that part of it aside and talk about the other issues.
Well, this policy is the so-called proverbial camel's nose in the tent. It's like civil unions. People say, well, it's not marriage. Well, no, it's the step to marriage, and then so you have civil unions, and then you have same-sex marriage. You have sexual orientation laws, and you have civil union laws, and then you have same-sex marriage. Here, if they say that you can't be a scout master if you're homosexual, but you can be a scout if you're homosexual, well, it's not going to be too long before those little scouts who are homosexual grow up, and they become Eagle Scouts if they want to become an Eagle Scout, and now they want to become a scout master. So what are you going to say? Well, you've gone through the ranks, and we've allowed you to be homosexual and have sexual attractions to other boys, and we've promoted you through the ranks, but no, you can't be a scout master. You know what it's going to do is this is the camel's nose in the tent. They're going to say, well, we've allowed these homosexual boys in the Scouts. Now we're going to allow the homosexual scoutmaster. And here it is. The Scouts just simply disintegrate.
Maybe they think by doing this piecemeal, they'll somehow lessen the opposition, and because the vast majority of people who are involved in scouting are adamantly opposed to this. The organizations, the numbers are clear. The organizations, they simply don't want this because they recognize that it will destroy scouting. But Matt, there's a bigger issue here. What kind of sense does it make to take, first of all, children who identify as gay and these young boys, and then to stick them in intimate settings in a tent when you're out in scouting, where bad behavior can occur, where other kids who are made to feel uncomfortable, having to be in these intimate quarters with kids who may well be attracted to them, sexually attracted to them. It creates situations for unwanted advances, and it's just it's nonsensical.
If you're a mom or a dad and you've got your 8-year-old boy or your 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy, and you want to send them out in a safe environment where they can learn self-respect, to be morally straight, which is now an oxymoron if they actually change their policy, to learn this kind of respect and self-reliance. And they're going to be gone for a 3-day camping trip out in the very deep part of the woods. And you're going to be comfortable with them sleeping in a tent at night at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning when they don't have anything to do. They should be sleeping. And now one boy in the tent, or maybe another boy, is sexually attracted to your son. You're just not going to put your son in that situation. What's going to happen is a competing organization to the Scouts will ultimately arise, and the Scouts will become a non-entity because parents are not going to be that dumb to put their son at risk in a tent with someone else who's sexually attracted to them.
Yeah, the Boy Scouts have a rich history, over 100 years, of helping raise up, as to use their words, morally straight young men, teaching them principles rooted in strong values, in a worldview that is reverent, that recognizes fidelity to God. And if the Scouts do this, they have taken away from the purview of the parents. They have injected this hypersexualization and this idea of human sexuality and aberrant sexual behavior, and put their stamp of approval on it within Scouting, contrary to this deeply held beliefs of many, many parents, every major world religion, thousands of years of history, and Matt, clearly uncompromising human biology, reject the notion of homosexual behavior. These are temptations and behaviors and proclivities we're talking about here. And to have these adults, having kids who can be sexually confused, who are hormonal, their central identity surrounding these aberrant sexual proclivities is bad in its own right. But then to now try to compel the Boy Scouts to put an official stamp of approval on that and say that is good, natural, normal, and good, when it is clearly not, and when the vast majority of people involved in Scouting recognize that it is not, that flies in the face of truth, and it's an affront to the parents of these young Scouts.
Well, this is from the Boy Scouts of America website. And by the way, I encourage you to pray for this meeting next week, that the Boy Scouts do remain strong and don't change their policy. And then go to libertycouncil.com, COUNSEL, libertycouncil.com, to sign the petition, make your voice known, saying the Scouts should hold the line. This is from the Boy Scouts Membership Standards Resolution. It repeats the oath, and I'll repeat part of it. It says, "On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country." Then it goes on to say, "to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight." They're not changing the oath, apparently. But you can't give that oath and be someone who is engaged in homosexuality. Then they go on to give the resolution. And they say in the resolution that the Boy Scouts have always been one in which they have not allowed membership to open or avowed homosexuals or who engage in behavior that would become a distraction to the mission of the Boy Scouts. Then they end up saying, now resolved. Now that's what they've done. And they say America needs Scouting. And young boys are still developing and being trained. Now they resolve that, no youth may be denied membership in the Boy Scouts of America on the basis of sexual orientation or preference alone. They've just undermined everything that they just said. They undermined their oath about being morally straight. They undermined the previous statements in their mission. They underlined the necessity of the Boy Scouts, and now they say, with a disjuncted kind of conclusion, now we're going to change. They don't say the reason why. They just simply say, we're going to not have sexual orientation to be an issue. It is an issue. It is wrong. Same-sex behavior is not right. It is immoral. It is wrong. It is not healthy, and it should not be a part of the Scouts.
Well, and with this resolution, the Scouts are taking a firm position. They're saying they have to sign off on the idea of sexual orientation, a euphemistic term, that is intended to make it seem like it's some kind of neutral, immutable, unchangeable characteristic that is inherent and inborn. The science clearly shows that it's not. We're talking about people who define their identity based upon sexual appetites and or behaviors. So, for all of history of Scouting, they have recognized that homosexual behavior is not morally straight. It is immoral. And now suddenly, truth doesn't change. Opinions do. Politics could drive changes like this. The realities remain the same. The Scouts are just kowtowing to pressure from a very, very pushy homosexual activist agenda.
Well, go to libertycouncil.com to sign the petition urging the Scouts to remain straight and on the same path, not to change their position, and pray for the Scouts meeting next week. And also you can go to Liberty Council's website, lc.org, that's lc.org, and ask for Dr. Judith Reisman's book that we've published through New Revolution Publishers, our publishing arm. And it's called Stolen Honor, Stolen Innocence. Stolen Honor, Stolen Innocence. And on the front page of that book, the front cover, it has a picture of a little child. This is a book that talks about Alfred Kinsey and this whole sexual revolution and what it's done to sexualize the country, indeed the world, and indeed even our children. This gives you the foundation, the roots, the history of how all this began. I encourage you to ask for the book. For a contribution of $20 to help support the Ministry of Liberty Counsel, we'll send you the book by Dr. Judith Reisman, Stolen Honor, Stolen Innocence. You can go to lc.org for more information. You can also sign up to the Liberty Alert email right there at lc.org. And you can also give an online credit card contribution to help support this ministry, advance life and family.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.